Welcome back to the channel, and welcome finally to Jerome, Arizona itself. We've been talking about this place for the last handful of videos, and now we are finally going to explore it today. If you saw the last video, you know I spent the night here in the Grand Jerome Hotel overlooking the Verde Valley here. But today we're going to be looking at the town itself. It is still super early. It's like 7:30. My body is on East Coast time, so I was literally up at the crack of dawn. Tried to waste as much time as I could, but this is about as far as we got. So town's going to be super quiet, I'm guessing, this morning. I don't know if a couple of the coffee shops and other things that I wanted to check out are going to be open yet, but we're just going to make it work. The hotel here is perched, as you've seen, at the top or near the top of the town itself. So we have a bit of a hike just to get down into the town. But I've already talked about the history of this area a bunch in the other videos, so I'm going to try not to rehash it as much today. So you'll have to bear with me if you've heard the same talking points, 4 times over now. I'm just going to turn this camera around. You don't need to see my face. And you can just look at this beautiful view. It's already close to 85 degrees, so I was hoping I was going to catch it a little bit cooler. And I guess I have. Oh, so I heard running water last night when I came up here, but I couldn't figure out where the heck it was coming from. I don't know what that is or where that's coming from. But yeah, today I just want to take in the I want to take in the vibes of the place and just sort of feel it out and experience it more than really focus on the history. I mean, the history of this place is fascinating, but like I said, you guys have already heard it a bunch, so I'm going to try to minimize that. But just as sort of a quick recap, in case you haven't watched any of the other videos, the town of Jerome here is built literally into the side of a mountain. I mean, and not just these buildings up top here, literally all of these buildings. So the town itself is a series of switchbacks with buildings just built where they could carve out ground. And so this town here actually is responsible and gave birth in a way to that entire region down there in the Verde Valley. And things started up here in the late 1800s, 1873, I believe, when the United Verde Company bought mining stakes up here to start mining copper, silver, and gold. But things really took off about a decade later or so, in the mid-1880s, when William Clark bought up the area and really just started investing a lot of resources into the mining. And so he originally got ore out of the mines here and down into the valley to be taken out to market by using things like pack horses and pack mules, but it was horrendously inefficient. Sometimes it would take the better part of a day to get down off the mountain here with one shipment of ore. And so in the early 1900s, he built an aerial tramway which carried ore down off the mountain here to the valley. He then built a narrow gauge rail line to go from the base of the mountain to the smelter that we saw in the other video, or that we talked about in the other video in Clarkdale, and then built a normal gauge line, I guess. I don't know. I'm not up on my train lingo, to go from the smelter out to the Santa Fe line in Drake. And so this place, the Haunted Hamburger, is actually where I ate dinner last night. And so you're going to see, and we're going to see a lot of stuff here. This town is known for being haunted. Like I talked about before, that's not really my thing. I'm not really leaning into that, but you're going to see it a lot. And I believe that this place, not the actual Haunted Hamburger itself, but this structure is one of the longest continuously in-service restaurants in Arizona, I think, at least in this area, potentially in all of Arizona. I'll have to, later me will have to correct myself. But like we talked about in the Cottonwood Clarkdale videos, William Clark made things much more efficient up here and really created the boom both up here and down in the valley by association. But one of the things about this town is that it was the quintessential Wild West town. It was known as I'm trying to remember what the phrase was. So it's something like one of the wildest towns in the West, or one of the most chaotic towns in the West, or something like that. But like, from everything that I've read, it sounds like this place was exactly what you think of when you think Old West and saloons and bar fights and just complete chaos. And so part of the reason why, you can see Jerome Ghost Tours here, part of the reason why William Clark built Clarkdale was to sort of have some separation in operations between this town, which was completely and totally out of his control, or just out of control. It was beyond his ability to sort of rein it in. And so he wanted to create Clarkdale to sort of offset that, with being a company town and it being really structured and organized like we talked about. My understanding is Jerome was already out of control by the time William Clark took it over, and it was just a monster that he was not able to wrangle in. And so part of the reason for Clarkdale was to offset that by having a really controlled, organized town that he could oversee the operations of right next to his smelter. And he just sort of, from my understanding, let this place do its thing. As long as they produced the ore that they needed, they were kind of free to do whatever they wanted. But as you can tell here, as we will continue to see, it should come as no surprise that this place was insanely dangerous, not just socially, but structurally too, and operationally. It had constant fires, constant landslides, constant mine collapses. And so another reason for Clarkdale, which we can see way down there, was to get as much of the operations out of this area from a danger standpoint as possible, not just socially, but also operationally. And so this is actually the road, like the main road that goes from the Verde Valley over the mountain here to the other side and down into Prescott. It's Route 89A, but it goes right through the heart of this town. And so if you want to go that direction, it's just a series of switchbacks here. University Shack for all your Jerome apparel. So one of the things that I want to check out, that I talked about pretty extensively in the Cottonwood video, it's coming up here at some point. But here's the Jerome Post Office. Oh, nice. How did I not see that coffee shop before? That would have been good to know. But as we can see coming up behind me here, I also ride a motorcycle. And these guys and a lot of the people that I've been seeing have been really making me, where'd they go? There they are. Really make me want to rent a bike and come up here and ride this. But this here is what I absolutely have to check out before I leave the Caduceus Cellars. This is the other, it's the Maynard from Tool Merkin Vineyard tasting room. And they don't open for like another 4 hours or something, so I have some time to kill. But I'm super excited to check that out. Yep, you see the sign here, Prescott to the right. So this is actually the area. If you're following the main road, you come up the road here, come up this way, and then turn right. So I actually have not been down this little strip yet. So there was a fire that came through here and destroyed most of Jerome in 1898? And then that hotel that's now the Firefly shop was rebuilt with wood, only to burn down again a year later. But this hotel was rebuilt in brick, and so obviously it survived to some extent. I'm guessing some sort of ground shifting, landslide, something or other probably brought that down. But I'll have to look into that a little bit. But yeah, so after the efficient operation structure was in place, Clark ran a booming mining business that we saw from last night. That plaque in the hotel said something like $2 billion or $12 billion in today's money worth of ore was excavated out of the mines. At its height in the 20s, there were 10,000 people living up here. I think there's only like a couple hundred that are here now, officially. Can you imagine 10,000 people crowding this area? No wonder it was so chaotic. Look, you can see that white building there, right up there, is the Haunted Hamburger. So we're just doing switchback after switchback here, working our way down. But yeah, 10,000 people lived up here in the 20s. I just can't imagine how chaotic that was. But then the Great Depression came. Also, Clark died, I believe, in the 20s. And kind of like we saw with Daniels, his son and grandson weren't as interested in running a mining business or the company town the way that Clark did. And so that mixed with, I wonder how I get down here. I don't want to get too terribly lost. Mixed with the Great Depression, meant business really started to tank. And so in the 30s, 1935, I believe, they sold the mining company to the Phelps Dodge Company, who ran it for another almost 20 years before closing up shop. Ghost Town Girl. So, big step up. Does that mean like the tour is a big step up? I'm kidding. So this Flatiron place is actually where I wanted to come for breakfast, but I'm here way too early. So I ended up just grabbing some coffee. But I might try to check it out before I leave. Although it looks like it might be open, I'll come by and swing back around there. Yeah, so Phelps Dodge ran it until the mid-1950s when they end up closing up shop, I believe in 53. And then that kind of goes from there. Well, we talked about the impact that had on the valley towns. All right, so in the shade, the temperature is not that bad at all. It's just when that sun comes out. Whew. And so Jerome especially became all but a ghost town for several decades before, kind of like a lot of other really artsy towns in the country, Asheville, Santa Cruz, Burlington, Vermont, sort of the arts district, arts people moved into this region and revitalized it. So you really kind of, in a way, it's hard to jokingly make fun of that scene when they're the reason that this town still exists now. And so today, it exists. Whew. Hills and elevation. Didn't think that part through. Today, it exists mainly on tourism. So tourism, like we've seen, there's ghost town stuff. Maynard also has brought his wine scene up here as well, and has helped sort of encourage the wine scene here. And so we've got ghost tours, we've got wine shops and wine tasting rooms, we've got quirky little rock stores and art stores and crafts. Whew. All right, I'm out of breath. Give me a minute. All right, so as I'm sitting here catching my breath, I notice over my shoulder, the adjective I was looking for earlier is wicked. So this became known as like one of the most wicked cities or something along those lines, but wicked is the word that I was looking for. But as I'm sitting here, I just cannot get over how pretty this place is. And I mean, I know I've mentioned it, but this gives you kind of a pulled back look a little bit. All of the buildings are just built into the side of the mountain here. And this is, like I mentioned, this is 89A. This is the road that comes out of the valley. You turn left like we saw. There's my alarm. You turn left here, go up to the stop sign that we'll see in a minute, turn right, and then keep on going and go up just past the hotel, which you can see, where is it here? Right up there is where we started. And so we've essentially done a number of switchbacks, and now we're working back up the hill here. But if you look, there's a J, and hopefully this music playing across the street doesn't come through. Although it's good, I'm pretty sure I know what they're listening to, but anyway, I was just kind of sitting here catching my breath, and it's just so peaceful and quiet, even with the 2000s rock playing over there. I'm in the shade, so it's really nice. So anyway, this I think just gives a good feel for the area. There's also, this is a barbecue place, and it's called Bobby D's Barbecue that I was going to eat at last night, but I got here too late, got back up in town too late. And so I ate at the Haunted Hamburger, which funny enough, you can still see right there. But they're obviously back at it and cooking at 7:30 in the morning, because there's a really awesome barbecue wood fire smell coming out of that place too. I mean, there's definitely something just amazingly calming about this. I'm glad. So I couldn't decide when the best time to shoot this was. I knew that midday was obviously not going to work. Well, this cop seems completely out of place. Why do they have some like fully decked out? Some fully decked out undercover cop. Oh, he's stopping by the barbecue place. Anyway. Let's not get sidetracked. I didn't know if doing it last night during twilight would work or this morning, because actually I'm checking out this morning, but I think I just picked the perfect time because it's quiet. I love these early morning hours. Yeah, this was right. Hopefully some of you can appreciate this too. All right, I think Alanis Morissette is my cue to get a move on. I just remembered I'd actually scoped out a residential area down here that I was going to walk through, but it's down at the bottom of this hill here, and I'm not going to walk back up through there. So we're just going to skip that part. But here, so right there next to the galleries where we just were, well, they must be doing some sort of like fire code inspection or something. Is this like Yavapai County or something? Who is this? Jerome Police. I must have my population wrong. Maybe it's a couple thousand, but still. No, I had my numbers correct. It's only like 450, 500 people living up here. And yet they have that super nice, fully decked out cop car. Anyway, I don't know, I'm getting fixated on that. So this is where we came up before. Remember, I pointed out that Prescott sign there. There's a little park up here. I'm gonna go check out real quick. And then why don't we walk back up to the hotel? We'll get my workout in for the day. This town is just so quirky. Oh, there are some stairs that help me kind of bypass some of this stuff, so that's cool. Some of the switchbacks. I don't know if this is a no duck. Oh, what a cool little park. My kids would love this. Here's the haunted hamburger here. So I actually, wow, okay. Somehow didn't get myself too lost. And now there are stairs right through here. I didn't even notice that. But scattered right in between all these little restaurants and quirky little shops and businesses and things, there are residences. But anyway, okay, so we're up top here. Back kind of where we started, but I'll show you, I'll show some context. To get to the hotel, you have to come back from here. Morning, how are you?
Pretty good.
You have to come up this little side street here, if you can even call it that. Surgeon's house guest only. Don't know what that is. But hopefully you guys find this place as captivating as I do. I mean, I will be the first to admit that my first level of interest years ago was because I was obsessed with Tool and with Maynard, and so anything related to him I was all into. But my interest and fascination has long since surpassed that, and that's only a minor little component of this, really just the thing that introduced me to the area. But I can absolutely understand why people fall in love with this part of the world. I mean, it is brutally hot in the summer, but maybe it's worth it. I guess that's a trade-off. It felt like 107 back in Maryland yesterday, so you could easily make the claim or the argument, the same argument about Maryland, about the awful humidity. But yeah, then you have to trek all the way back up here. I am going to be dead by the end of this. Man, imagine if I didn't run. Look at that cool hotel. Doesn't it have like the Stanley Hotel type vibes from The Shining a little bit? And just overlooking the valley there. What's interesting is they offer rooms, including rooms with balconies, that look back on the backside of here to the mountain, which I get. Like, if it's available, make it available. Maybe there are some people that like that, but I don't totally understand the idea of coming all the way up here just to face the backside of a hill. But to each their own, I guess. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and my watch already said I've met my stair climbing goal for the day. It's funny. All right, so we're back up where we started. Hopefully you enjoyed that little walk through the town of Jerome. What a cool, quirky little town. I cannot tell you how thankful I am to have finally had the opportunity to come and stop by here, even if it was just for a couple days in the middle of summer. I will take it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for someone like me, and so I'm glad I could bring you guys along. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed this whole little look at the Verde Valley region. If you did, you know the drill. Like button, subscribe button, notifications, hit that little bell. It'll let you know when I upload next. Leave a comment if you want. Thanks as always for the support. Thanks for continuing to watch. And I will see you in the next video. All right.